Namaste, Namaskaram, Vanakkam, Namo Namaha, Jai Ganesha. Please visit our website at classicalyoga.org. And there's a donate button there if you'd like to help us out. So today's Upadesh is, we've been working on this for the last week. And this is actually a Navaratri special as we're coming upon our basically second Utsava of the season with a solid foundation of Ganesha's wisdom, Ganesh Chaturthi. Now we go up into the second chakra. Remember, first festival is Muladhara. Second chakra is the second festival of Navaratri, the 9 nights of the Divine Mother. And remember, the second chakra is about reason and logic. We can either choose to use this or we get swallowed up, the makara, by our emotions. This is especially relevant for women, but men as well. We need to use our reason and logic and not get swallowed up by our emotions. So, today's Upadesh, kurukshetra, shanti cha, war and peace. This life of duality is just that. It's literally a duel. We could say this is the primal battle of survival or war and peace. It's a drama, a play, lila, a dance, nata, a saralolahara, which is a Hindu bhajan reflecting this dance of life, represented by the dancing Siva Nataraja. And you know, this is actually found outside of the physics lab in CERN, as the scientists recognized this was a beautiful image for the dance of quarks, string theory, the dance of life, Nataraja, the divine dancer. This is a dance of truth, sada, of the back and forth swing, lola, as we go from one extreme to the other, that helps to destroy hara, our ignorance. In other words, to have creation is to naturally have division or conflict. Division or duality begins with mitosis or cell division. Interestingly, cell division was revealed to a Christian monk, Gregor Mendel, in his cell. Interesting. In other words, no division, no life. This rational understanding debunks such New Age, often found in the spurious yoga movement of today, New Age cliches like no divisions, no labels, no judgments, etc. Of course, there is good, if you will, and bad division. For example, food should go into the stomach and not in the lungs. It is good to respect boundaries, property and personal, for example, and bad to practice negative racism and sexism. It's up to all of us as we go through this learning curve of life to figure out which divisions are healthy and which divisions are unhealthy. But division is life. Remember, basic math is addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Division, of course, can be selfish or unselfish. For example, in the latter, if I have a whole pie and I don't choose to divide it among those present, that's very selfish. On the other hand, if I say because of your skin color you don't deserve a piece of the pie, that is bad division. Obviously, the former was very selfish, and then the latter unselfish, or the other way around. Good and bad, or perhaps evil, are the inherent battles of life. When the battles are over, there's a temporary peace until the next battle. In other words, the inevitability of war and peace. Look, for example, at a simple cut on your finger. Immediately, a war begins to take place within your body as innumerable cells go into battle to defeat the infection. When the body again attains a state of homeostasis, there is a temporary respite or peace. Watch some of the YouTube videos on the immune system. It's amazing the in-depth understanding that many have come to about what happens to our immune system when we get a simple infection, much less serious disease. Our mental and emotional states, too, are often at war within us and within each other. Our human interactions can be joyful and unifying, or toxic, often ending in divorce with subsequent court battles. Atmospheric pressures create placid and beautiful days, as well as horrible, destructive days. We just had a horrible, devastating Hurricane Helene with devastating flooding waters, so send out the best wishes to all of those people there. But more important, look at the people that step up to the plate and actually help. Wow. Again, the forces of nature are often at war. Anyone who's spent significant time in the natural world full well knows the experience of pleasure and suffering. In the instinct for survival, there is life and death, nurturing love as well as violent killing. Leo Tolstoy wrote his famous work War and Peace in 1805. And throughout history, literature is full of heroines and protagonists. The religious literature of the world is full of battles, both in story and present reality. In the Hindu yoga religion, we see these battles in the Mahabharata, which culminates in the central theme of the Bhagavad Gita. The classic Ramayana is a war between good and evil. This classic epic of basically human drama continues. War followed by a victory of peace. Diwali. This Upadesh, again, is actually being produced during Navaratri. You see Ma Durga right here. Remember, Hindus, we always start with Mahaganapati. We have Ma Kali up there. So remember, Harihara Ekarupa Guna Shila. We want to have respect for all three sampradayas, Saiva, Vaishnava, Shakta. This Hindu festival of Navaratri to the Divine Mother swings back and forth from war to peace and back again. We won't go too much in depth here, but these 9 different forms of Ma Durga show us a back and forth between a warring time in the beginning with a war between Daksha and Shiva and Sati, and then Sati's reborn as Shailaputri, the daughter of the mountain, so now there's relative peace. And then she prepares herself to actually meet Shiva again as she becomes a brahmacharini. Very important. There's a classic step-by-step process going on here. Then she goes into deep meditation as the form of Chandra Ganta, meditating on the moon, which is obviously associated with Mahadev Shiva. Then she becomes Kushmanda, the center of the sun, full realization. Now she's ready to come out, in a sense, and start the battle all over again as she becomes the mother of Ganapati and Skandamata. He becomes the warrior deity to defeat the evil demon Taraka. And then this continues on with her form of Katyayani, where she rides the lion, the tiger, and defeats the evil demon Mahishasura. Then she becomes the black Kali, Kalaratri, the absolute destruction. Then it comes out into peace again as she becomes Gauri Mata. Now she's the white Mataji. Black and white doesn't matter. Skin color's secondary, should be. And on into Siddharthi Devi, the 9th incarnation, or peace again. So this inevitable war and peace, which is life itself. A Hindu mystic from Sri Lanka, Yogaswami, who really did not want to be recognized, as really true mystics do not want that. He was quoted as saying, quote, "Absolute calm is not the law of the ocean," end quote. And, quote, "We are like corks struggling to come to the surface," end quote. While he recognized the wisdom of peace and silence, he also recognized that there was a time to, as he said, quote, "Today I will set fire to and burn all of you." So many people don't understand about the role of a mentor, and in this case, a guru. A guru's responsibility is to burn up all the negative tendencies within the chela or the shishya, and very few can actually withstand that. The challenges and challengers of life's many games. Look at our video on relating Ganesh Chaturthi to the game of baseball. You'll find that very illuminating. These challenges we must inwardly overcome. The goals are to become a more positive and successful person. In the games of life, we go back and forth from one extreme to the other, which is eventually destroying our ignorance or lack of ability. Again, sada, lula, hara. Anyone who plays sports, and especially at the elite level, accepts this joy and suffering, success and loss, as well as the stern discipline of their mentors. Recognizing the inevitability of this war and peace, that is life itself, we must eventually learn to develop a mature state of sportsmanship. We learn to battle with a sense of fairness. As Stephen Covey stated in his 7 Laws of Highly Successful People, and listen to our podcast on the 21 levels of human consciousness, where we include Stephen Covey's wisdom. He states there that we need to reach a mature level of win-win. That's your heart chakra, win-win. He recognized that in these more intense human relationships, a win-win solution is to be sought. While in other games, yes, there will be winners and losers. In these, in his words, quote, low-level games, unquote, we must learn to maintain a sense of sportsmanship. In other words, be a gracious winner and a gracious loser. Playing the games of life, we first recognize the specific game, which could be religion, etc., that we're playing. Then we learn the rules and regulations. Then we step up to the plate and play the game fair, hopefully. Here's a little anecdote. The other day, while walking on the beach, I found a soccer ball. Looking at the soccer ball, it is black and white, like the yin-yang symbol of duality, the natural duality of life. The binary system, 0 to 1. Remember, the Hindus invented the numeral 0? Of course, one can also contemplate the round earth as opposed to the linear mindset. Remember, at one time, those of a linear mindset, monotheists, thought the world was flat. But the Hindus knew it was round and moving. Jagat, what do you think about that? A soccer ball is also constructed of pentagon figures. Interestingly, the pentagon, which is of course a 5-sided geometric figure, and we all know about in the West, the pentagon is the headquarters of the war machine. What perhaps is the pentagon inside of all of us? In the Hindu yoga religion, we study the chakras, the vital forces within all of us. The heart chakra is symbolically the home of the youthful, loving warrior deities Muruga, which means youth, also known as Skanda the warrior, and the youthful warrior deities Hanumanji, Krishna, and Durga Ma. This heart chakra is associated with love. Do we not send people pictures of hearts on Valentine's Day? We know this is where we feel it. When we both fall in love, our heart expands, and we fall out of love, our heart is crushed. At this internal pentagon center within all of us, it makes a great deal of sense to seek to be a youthful, loving warrior. We must learn to incorporate all 3 qualities. Being a warrior brings out the youthful qualities in anyone, no matter what the physical age. But a warrior must also have a sense of love or fairness. Otherwise, one then just becomes a brute and ceases to play the games of life in a fair manner. So back to the analogy of the 5-figured pentagon. Now, Mahadeva Shiva is the father of the youthful, loving Muruga Skanda. Shiva's sacred number is 5. Nama Shivaya is the Panchakshara, 5-syllable, mantra for Saiva Hindus. Dissecting this mantra holds some solutions, some clues to the recognition of the dance of duality and the inevitable war and peace. Na is the concealing grace, or basic ignorance. Ma stands for the chains, mala, of greed, anger, and lust, lobha, krodha, kama, which is actually defeated by dana, dayadvam, damyata, giving, compassion, control. The C stands for Si or Shiva. Shiva, doesn't matter. Just like Hindu, doesn't matter if you use the H or not. Va is the revelation or revealing grace. And Ya is you as the Atmana. Therefore, in chanting this mantra, one recognizes the need to put an external divinity at the center of one's life in order to go from essentially war to peace and to find the divinity that's within all of us. And it's interesting that to understand this Namah Shivaya, you have to look at the dancing Shiva. So he's standing on a little deity here, which represents all of us, our ego. Right? That's the concealing grace. When we just, there's things that we humbly admit, hopefully, that we don't understand, we don't know. And we're all growing up in physical age, from children to adults, but in a soulful age also, or Atma, Darshana, as we more and more realize our inner essence and mature. So that's the concealing grace. That's Na. And then the Mala are the chains of greed, anger, lust that we seek to destroy in our life. So this is a Mala. This is a good Mala, right? Remember, a Mala can be a divine chain or a Mala can be a negative chain. Just ask those that are in prison. So Nama, and then you put Shiva at the center of your life. In this case, right, divinity, whatever form of divinity that you are attracted to. Right? And then Va is the revealing grace, the upraised foot, and the little being, the ego, is looking up and saying, oh, wait a minute, there's a way out here. And actually Shiva's pointing to the foot, so the way out is really through a process that we call karma yoga, bhakti yoga, raja yoga, jnana yoga, ethics, devotion, meditation, enlightenment. So the revealing grace, and what's it revealing? It's revealing who you truly are. You are the Atmana. That's why the essence of Hinduism is in 3 words, Tat Tvam Asi. That thou art. We are the Atmana, which is Sat Chit Ananda, love, light, and energy. Om, this are we with emotions, mind, and body. Sat Chit Ananda, Jyoti Shakti Ananda Shanti. We are that inner essence, that Atmana, with a body, mind, and emotions, Dehamana Bhavaha. And we're going through this world of war and peace. This is the ring of fire. We're dancing through this world of fire, which is both creative and destructive, as we go through this natural duality of life. So Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya. And we look at Shiva, as Saiva Hindus, as both the creator, that's the drum, and the destroyer, fire, and the preserver. That's the hand in Abhya Mudra. Creation, preservation, destruction. Those are the 3 acts that are going on all the time. So, Om Namah Shivaya. So the bottom line here is that we live in a world of duality, of good and bad, healthy, unhealthy, pleasure, pain, etc., sukha, dukkha, raga, dvesha. As we mature, we realize that it is more beneficial to seek more of the former rather than the latter. Of course, both will always exist in this worldly experience. Again, Yoga Swami used to say that even to the end, the ego will raise its ugly head. However, there will be moments of transcendence in life when one feels neither extreme. We may feel extreme bliss, but we may get to a point when we, in a very peaceful way, don't feel any highs or lows either. This transcendence, remember, that means to climb. Don't ever confuse that with transvalue. Transvalue means to skip over. And that's what New Age people do. They transvalue thinking they're transcending. They're skipping over the process. They're skipping over the rules, regulations, and rituals that would lead to a more in-depth experience. So listen to some of our podcasts and watch our videos on this massive, spurious yoga movement, phony yoga movement, really. 200 hours, becoming a certified professional yogi. Come on. So this transcendence happens certainly in sleep. When we go into the no-thingness, think about the wisdom of that. We become nothing every night. Only to wake again. One day we won't. But this is how you get something for nothing, because nothing doesn't exist. There's still something going on there. It's so subtle that the conscious mind just can't pick up on. That's why we go into deep sleep, which we need, right? All of us know what it's like when we have a sleepless night. Oof, can't function during the day. We need to be nothing every night in order to be something effectively during the day. This is very important to grasp this concept. And people also achieve a state of transcendence through illicit drugs, for example. But we also achieve that through more healthy ways, through obviously sex within an appropriate relationship. Some people experience it just going out in nature and witnessing, a beautiful sunrise or sunset, so-called. Remember, it doesn't do either one. That's the Maya of life. And certainly at physical death, we transcend this material duality. But perhaps we continue on into a more refined mental and emotional, as in our dream state, right? But it's still duality. But perhaps on an even deeper level, something else happens. After that, who knows? That's why in the Vedas, the rishis, when it came to those deep questions, they simply said, Ka, who knows? We don't really know what happens after the annihilation of everything and the physical death. There's some things that we just have to admit we just don't know. But what do we know? We know we're in this world of duality, of everything and its opposite. So we don't want to leave on a down note. Let's leave on a uplifting understanding of a logical process that will help all of us get through this lifetime. Perhaps many lifetimes. Again, who knows? As soon as we believe in this, some sort of reincarnation, it answers a lot of questions. But let's look at the acronym EDME. ED, which is abbreviation for education, and then me, EDME. In other words, say to yourself, educate me. And how do we do this? Strive in life to be ethical and honest. This just, in the learning curve, makes more sense, doesn't it? Living an unethical life lands us in sorrow and perhaps jail. So we strive to live an ethical life. That's why there are ethical codes in all areas of life, and certainly in the religions of the world. And then with an ethical foundation, now exercise full-on devotion. Devotion is really a secret ingredient of life. And we're not talking just about religious devotions. We're talking about devotion in general. Be devoted to yourself, to your family, to your spouse perhaps, to your job, your hobbies, your religion. Be fully devoted. Without that, we won't be successful. But remember, this has to be predicated on ethics, because we can be devoted to the wrong thing. Career criminals, mafia, highly devoted people, some very intelligent in many ways. So after devotion, now we intensify this with deep, deep concentration, which is really the literal meaning of the English word meditation, which doesn't have to, in this case, have anything to do with a so-called spiritual experience. Deep, deep concentration. And if we keep up this process, just be ethical, be fully devoted, be concentrated, keep up this process, and you will achieve what we could say is a more enlightened state of being. Now, that's a word sometimes that people are a little bit afraid of, enlightened, but in light we're meant to be. In other words, the inner epiphanies, the inner awakenings, inner light, which we all have. That's why Hindus wear the bindu, the mark of the Hindu, as we focus there and look for the inner light. But remember, it's also a feeling of lightness as opposed to depression or heaviness. Who wants that, right? We want to feel more light and buoyant, as we did when we were children. Hopefully we regain that, especially in our later years, right? As we pass through these middle years of intensity, we get so serious about our careers, which is important, right? So this final outcome is the enlightened state. So EDME, ethics, devotion, meditation, enlightenment. Just keep up this process. Remember, always respect generalities and specifics. So we can apply this. Obviously, we're using the general language of English. Not everybody speaks English, but it's a pretty common language. So we're using the generalities of English, but then we respect specifically how people are carrying out those ethics, their devotions, their meditations, on into the ongoing successful experience of enlightenment, if you will. Especially when it comes to the religions of the world. It's very important that we respect the specifics. All religions are not the same. There are many similarities, and here's where we can find a similarity in general, but also respect the specifics. So, for example, as Hindus, we do this EDME in the form of Karma Yoga, Hindu ethics, Bhakti Yoga, Hindu devotions, which also includes Hatha Yoga, which are supposed to be kind of secret devotional postures, on into Raja Yoga, Hindu contemplations or meditations, into the enlightened state, which we call Gyan or Jnana Yoga. Karma Bhakti Raja Jnana. This is the way to Nirvana for the Hindus. Other religions we have to respect. They're basically following the same pattern, but we have to respect they do it in a different way. For example, Christians have their Sermon on the Mount, their ethical codes of conduct that they follow. They have their devotions to Jesus, perhaps in the case of Catholics, to Mary and various saints. And they have their meditations on those specific beings. And they achieve their inner awakenings. So remember, don't confuse generalities and specifics. This is especially relevant in today's New Age stuff, where, remember, they take yoga and completely divorce it from Hinduism, make it an exercise routine or a vague spirituality. Remember, stretching exercises are just that. Yoga, and specifically Hatha Yoga, are Hindu devotional postures. Remember, the Sanskrit and Tamil, yogam, Hindu word yoga, means yuj atman brahman cha. This literally has nothing to do with your physical body. That's a shocker. It means to yoke, yuj, Y-O-K-E, to your atmana, which is our Hindu word for the inner essence. It's a bit different than soul. Soul is still connected to the psyche or the mind. The atmana is not the mind, transcends the body, mind, and emotions. And then we, having experienced that, get absorbed in a greater source, which we call Brahman. Remember, that's not God. That's a word that really doesn't apply to Hindus. We don't want to make it a superficial word, and we don't want to disrespect the Christians. They have a specific meaning when they use God, a one male creator being. So remember, yoga is the essence of Hindu Dharma as we seek to yoke to our Atmana, that Satchidananda, Jyoti, Shakti, Ananda, Shanti, love, light, and energy. And then we get absorbed in a greater source, which we call Brahman, which is a neuter term for those greater forces of Sat, Chit, Ananda. So with this formula, it can help us as we go through these battles of life. Some are minor skirmishes, some are serious battles, as we all know. The older we get. That's why we always want to respect our elders, because they've been through a lot of battles. So we have to respect them. So I hope this has been illuminating and helpful to all of you. So I hope you have a wonderful Navaratri festival as we go through these experiences in this natural world of duality and try to play the game fair. So love and blessings to everyone, and have a joyous and wonderful Navaratri. Om Namaste, Namaskaram, Vanakkam, Namo Namaha. Jai Mataji. Om.